Everybody loves a good story. So here's a story. It's a story about a young man who observed a sage who passed him by from time to time on the street. He envied how the man assumed a perfect space, became still, maintained peace of mind and kindness even when anything was thrown at him. He wanted these skills so that they may gain him stature and power in his community. So, he asked the man if he might study with him to develop the nature of such qualities. The sage invited him to come to his school. Next day, the young man stood before the school's huge, vast doors. He knocked. No response. No response. Frustrated, he grew frustrated, but returned each day. Frustration turned to anger, but returned. He kept returning weeks, months. No response. But he kept on returning weeks, months, with no response. Driven by ego, he returned every day. His anger softened. And though frustrated, he persisted. Then one day the sage was waiting for him outside the door, the school's door. Smiling, he handed the young man, hopeful, a broom and said softly, "Since you wish so to enter our school and learn our ways, begin by sweeping the entrance to the school." Dismayed, but delighted that he was at last acknowledged, he enthusiastically began sweeping in front of the school, day after day, week after week, without complaining. He became frustrated and impatient, but without complaining, day after day, week after week, month after month, wanting to gain entrance to the inner sanctum, to acquire the powerful secrets that would change his life for the better. So he persisted. Gradually, his focus shifted. Sweeping began to be more thoughtful, not a chore, more patient, without judgment. He surrendered to it. There was less, accepting it with less struggle, there was less to struggle. He found within himself sufficient satisfaction. His sweeping had become a thing of beauty, which others came to admire and respect. Everyone who passed greeted him with grateful smiles, bringing him food and warm shawls against the chill. They looked forward to seeing him, and he looked forward to seeing them with kindness. When at last the sage greeted him, the young man, outside the door, the school's vast doors, the young man stood still, patient, humbly giving way to the sage. Seeing his old friend smiling lovingly was all the pleasure he seemed to need. The heavy doors he expected to open for him did not open. A small, very small side door opened, and as he stepped forward, dust and patience found a remedy. The treasures he sought seemed like dust. He had found his way to his upper gods. where man is given a meaningful place in space, in present time. There was no longer distinction between inside and outside. The secret of the living world lived within him and emanated in flowing movements out. Like opening a beautiful book that one can't read before. Of course, meditation is exactly like that. A hard-earned, subtle awareness of our higher, total significance expressed in reality and not simply as a mere copy of what's outside us. Please come back.